Hey, good morning. Yes, it is. It is Tuesday, the 17th of June. We're already halfway through the month, right? So I thought we'd talk about, Mark had brought up a while back about how to handle customers and the do's and don'ts. They seem kind of logical, but they aren't. So stay tuned. Alrighty, welcome back to the channel. My name is Eric, and yes, this is the weekday, Monday through Friday. Today is Tuesday, the 17th of June, 2025. So, what do I mean by how to handle customers? It's probably at least 60% of your job. It's not doing the mechanical work that's going to get you through, it's how you handle and respond to customers. And I can give you a couple case in points. And then as we're doing this, jot down how you would react. And then why you would react and put it in the comments. So we'll take the last one, which was yesterday. And let's see where you go from here. Yesterday we spent most of the day at the shop working on stuff. Customer knows the shop number, and he did Facebook me a message, and he also left a text on my cell phone. Okay, 3 places, but he only texted me, and then he left a Facebook message. My phone is not always on me. I throw it into the truck so that it doesn't get smashed. So the ideal way to get a hold of me first is the shop, right? Call the shop number. But my reaction wouldn't have been any different. And this customer was having problems with a tractor we had worked on a month ago. And he was out trying to rake hay, and it kind of, in no other kind words, shit the bed. It was, as his words were, it was firing, backfiring, doing a bunch of things, all right? Now, first we need to take it in context. He's had the tractor for a month, right? Anything could have happened in that month. But for some reason, reading the Facebook messaging post and the text that I got, it was like, we did something wrong and we need to snap to it and correct it now. And I don't know about you guys, but if you approach me that way, I'm like, not now. If I'm working on somebody else's piece of equipment, or I've got something I've got going on, and you're demanding that I stop doing that to rush to you, you got a long wait. I'm not that type of guy. I used to chase fires, and the old slogan. Instead of putting out fires, you're chasing fires. And chasing fires is you're reacting to every customer that comes along. And what you're actually doing is you're actually teaching them how to treat you. So if you drop whatever you're doing and make them your number one concern and rush over there to try to fix their issue, you've taught them that that's how they get your attention, and that's how to get you to get their problem solved. And I'll be honest with you, most of my adult life I spent doing just that, is chasing fires, having people have problems and making them my problem. And then they move on and I'm still stuck trying to figure things out. And I learned recently, well, in the past year, that the best response is not to make other people's problems your problems. They're no more important than the one you're working on. And this goes in your personal life as well. If every time somebody sends you a Facebook message or a text and you don't respond instantly and they get upset, that means you've taught them prior to that point that you're willing to drop everything that's even important to you to make their problem your problem. And that's the worst thing you could ever do. It will cause you to have low self-esteem, burned out, stressed out, and you're stressing and being burned out by everybody else's problems instead of the problems that you would normally have, right? The problems you're having is a cakewalk compared to everybody else's crap. So when you answer that text and that Facebook Messenger post or even that phone call, think of that. How you react is going to teach that person how to treat you. If somebody going off on you, screaming and hollering, and you rush to their aid to fix whatever problem that you supposedly created, is teaching them the next time to scream and holler because that's what got your attention, right? And that's not the way you want to get their attention or have them get your attention. I'm not saying that your customers aren't special or people in your life aren't special, but there's a time and a place. You know, I'm always been with my family and friends that if they have something going on, I usually stop whatever I'm doing and I at least listen, because a lot of times that's all they want. They're listening anyways. But where most people may go wrong on this is they go to the next level, and that is they now take on that person's problem as their own problem. Now, 2 minutes ago, that wasn't your problem. But now you've decided, not them, you've decided to make that your problem. So now whatever you had going on during the day that could have been stressful, this or that, gets put on the back burner because you're out solving somebody else's problems, right? Which is this guy out in the hayfield. He's got 3 tractors. It only takes 5 minutes to unhook the rake off the one tractor, hook up the rake to the other tractor, and then continue on, and then we'll get at that tractor when we get a minute. That would have been the way to go, but that wasn't the way he went. He basically was demanding that we get right there. And when I did finally get back to him after visiting my wife in the hospital, it said, I got cardiac rehab tomorrow, which is today, and I can send Claude out in the morning to try to get things sorted out, to give you a hand, and we'll go from there. And he wrote back, don't bother. I already got the parts ordered. They'll be in the morning, and I'm going to do it myself. Okay? End of story. End of story. If that's the way the guy wants to be, that's fine. And he calls himself a Christian, too. See, even being a Christian, you can be an asshole. I know. Personal experience, right? But you don't get mad at somebody else because they're not being attentive to your issues at hand. Or at least you shouldn't. But yet, many of us do, right? Our problem is our problem, and it's number one, and we want everybody to drop whatever they're doing to solve our problem. Instead of the person that most needs to learn and to learn something from solving that problem, which would be me, solving my own problems. It's good to get guidance, but if you have other people solving your problems all the time, are you really solving your problems? No, they are. They are. So when it comes to shop, you need to decide how you're going to let customers treat you and how you're going to react to customers. And what I can tell you with my vast years of experience, Amos, chime in, Jason, you too, Ed, that if somebody approaches you in anger, the worst thing you can do is become part of that conversation. I don't shut down. I'm not willing to have their issue be my issue. I'll listen to them And hopefully by the time they let off steam, they'll feel a little bit better. But don't try to force me to take on your problem. What would have been a better way to deal with this with that customer? The better way would have been, Eric, we're having problems with the tractor. Not quite sure what's going on with it, but I just parked it because it's backfiring and the coil's cracked. I know it wasn't us. And at your earliest convenience, can you come over and grab it or take a look at it and see what you can do with it? That would have been the approach. That is not making their problem my problem. They're saying at your earliest convenience. So they understand that I'm pretty busy, right? Now that doesn't mean 2 or 3 weeks from now. I mean, that's the earliest convenience. And a lot of times for me, that's after hours. I'll run and grab something, but to see exactly what's going on. Not drop everything that you're doing this second and rush to my aid, which is half an hour away. It's not happening. Before, yes. Now, no, not happening. Same way when you got a customer come in and start screaming and hollering. We talked about this yesterday. You don't raise to the occasion. Keep your voice and your tone at just the regular. Don't make the customer's problem your problem. All right? And as we talked about yesterday, a lot of times if you got a customer that's really in a bad mood or whatever, it has nothing to do with you and everything to do with how their day is gone. You're just the icing on the cake, right? That's the one thing I don't like about Facebook Messenger and texting is you can't see tone, you can't see body language, you can't see any of that, right? Where in person in the shop you can. And I've seen so many times where texts and messages get misconstrued by the other person on what you meant. Hey, you know, having a set of words can have more than one meaning depending upon how the person says it, right? Phone is the second best way, where you're talking to them so you can hear different tone changes in their voices of whether they're really pissed or having a bad day or in a good mood, right? So that's if I leave you with the biggest thing is that you can't take on other people's problems. It's all right to help once in a while, but you don't want to teach people that whenever there's an issue going on, that you're going to drop whatever you're doing and come to their aid or rescue. It never works out in the end. It just makes your life worse in the end. Because then these people feel that's the way they need to treat you from that point on. And I can tell you, you can find out if you're that type of person that's been doing that. Is the next few texts and messages that come across with someone saying something's going wrong and you don't respond, or you respond back saying, I'll get back with you when I get a minute. Watch how the other person reacts. If they blow up and tell you to shove it up your ass, then you've been running and chasing fires like I used to. If they say okay, then unless it's okay in all caps with an exclamation mark. You see what I'm saying? I mean, this, you can do this in your personal life or your business life. They're both the same. They are. If you chase fires, you're going to be a very unhappy individual. All right, so that's my first example. Second one. You have a customer, and they've been a customer for years, or they're a new customer, and they're having problems with their lawnmower. And they want to know how long it would be before you get a chance to do it. And you do a favor and you get it out quick. are you really doing yourself a favor or them a favor? Because in the end, what will happen is every time they bring something to you, they're going to expect it right back. And is it fair to the other customers that are waiting in line with their machines in your shop? I mean, if you have nothing going on, all the power to it, right? But for most of us, we're looking back at the shop and the stuff that's in it and saying, it may be a day or two before we can get to it. And we've all had those customers where you pick it up or they drop it off and they say they're in no hurry. And then by noon tomorrow, they're calling saying, is it done yet? What happened to being not in a hurry? But somewhere along the lines, someone has taught them that their stuff is going to get fixed before everybody else's. And I've seen this happen in shops, and I've seen it happen in our shop. You know, where we concentrate on the quick fixes and let the complicated stuff bite you in the ass in the end, right? Because then you got all complicated cases and you're not getting squat done. So it's better to keep everything mixed in. But the worst thing you can do for a customer is get it back quick. For you and your customer. You're thinking, well, the quicker I get it back, the quicker I get paid. Yes, absolutely. But what about the other people's machines that you're working on? They're going to pay you, right? And why does this person rate higher than the ones that are there? They're a buddy, they're a friend, you know. And I've seen shops go to hell too because you're spending all your time working on your buddy's machines instead of your customers. There's a difference. And months later, your customers are still calling you, asking you, is it ready yet? So, I mean, that's the second thing I can't stress enough is you want to get stuff in and out quickly. But in the same breath, I don't want you teaching that customer that no matter what happens or no matter what's going on, the minute their machine shows up, you're going to drop everything and do theirs. You can't. If you want to remain in business for long term, you can't do that. So once in a while doing a favor for somebody, that's okay. But when they start having an expectation that you're going to drop everything you're doing to run to their aid, you can't do that. It's not fair to you. It's not fair to your other customers. And if that customer can't understand that logic, once you've explained to them that you have other customers, other machines, and you're doing first in, first out, if the customer is still is irate and isn't happy, they're more than welcome to take their machine somewhere else. Take it somewhere else. I don't need to be making your problem my problem, right? I'm willing to take on your problem when we get a minute and first in, first out, but I'm not going to drop everything I'm doing to try to appease you and get you fixed and out of here. Actually, if you approach me in anger and shouting and stuff like that, my tendency is to slow down getting to you in the long run, because I don't want to teach you that type of behavior is acceptable and that it's going to get you anywhere here. And I'll tell you, this day and age, whether it's eBay or the big box stores, people have learned that the louder they shout and carry on, the quicker people are just going to say keep it or take care of it in a hurry. No, it's not happening. Stop being a child. Be an adult like you should. I know you're 65 years old, but that goes back to the main theme today, and that is teaching your customer how to treat you. You have to treat others. You have to teach others how to treat you. It's a learned behavior. It's not something that is normal. But they've learned by having that behavior, they get things done. people to do things for them. I've always found sugar attracts more bees than salt, right? So I'm going to start wrapping this up. But in the comments, what do you think? And what are the ones that you can help the rest of us on how to teach customers, or how to teach customers and friends how to treat us? It's a learned behavior. And the quicker you get on board, the better you are. Stop dropping everything you're doing to rush to somebody else's aid to fix their problem. Do they rush to fix your problems? Good chances are no. Because you don't do that with other people. You're not the type to put your problems out for everybody to deal with, right? So on that note, you guys have a great Tuesday. We'll catch you here bright and early tomorrow morning for another episode of The Weekday. Enjoy, guys.